So, you just finished a 3-month low carb, sugar free diet. Your personal trainer just sent you an extensive PDF on the maintenance phase, and you finally fit in that dress from your 25th birthday that's been collecting dust in the back of your closet. Why then have you found yourself in front of the TV with a pint of ice cream every night this week? Desperately trying to ignore that voice in your head that says, I told you so. Why'd you even bother? Or the undeniable reality of the scale climbing each morning. In the middle of scoops of cookie dough and tears streaming down your face, you scream at Love Island, What the F is wrong with me? And I'm here to tell you, nothing. Except that you just took away the one tool your body used to regulate emotions. Delicious, comforting, pleasurable food. So what now? How do you break the yo-yo diet cycle for good? That's exactly what we'll explore in today's episode. Welcome to Rich in Spirit.
Paid in full.
I'm Victoria.
And I'm Iman.
Here, we believe you don't have to choose between spiritual growth and financial success,
Ambition and alignment.
or healing and building an abundant life.
Join us each week to quantum leap with both proven, profitable systems and the spiritual insights that will light your way through life's greatest expansions.
Let's step into success that feeds your soul.
So nice to see you, Victoria. So nice to be here with our listeners.
Yes, always a pleasure.
Would you lead us in some breathing so that we can be fully present in this moment to take in all this new juicy information?
Yes, I'm happy to do that. For today's grounding, I'm going to cue you to do 3 deep breaths, and I invite you on the exhale to add some movement. So that can look like shaking out your hands, patting your arms or your thighs. If you're sitting, you can wiggle your legs. Even if you're walking, you can do whatever movement feels best. But this will just help you get out of your head and into your body even more, which is important for today's topic, which has to do with food and using food to avoid our emotions. So let's all start with a deep inhale into the nose, feeling your stomach and chest expand, and a light hold at the top. And then on the exhale, sighing it out, incorporating that little movement. Even if you're driving, maybe you can wiggle your torso. And then when you get to the bottom of the exhale, let's go for the second round. Deep inhale, holding at the top. And on the exhale, letting it go, dropping your shoulders down, dropping your shoulder blades down your back, shaking it out, moving, wiggling your fingers and toes. And then last one. Taking your time, deepest inhale of the day, feeling your stomach and chest expand fully. Taking your time, getting to the top, holding once you're there, no rush. And then letting it go. Relaxing your jaw, getting out any tension, any stress. Yawning is great. Yeah, and coming into your natural breath, into stillness or not, whatever's feeling good right now. Welcome, we're here.
Thank you. I added this new nervous system regulating, calming thing to my nighttime routine. Super simple, super easy, but the movements we did just now with that breathing exercise kind of made me think of this. So before bed, I've been playing just like one song, usually something kind of spiritual. I'm not listening to like Katy Perry or Taylor Swift or something right before bed, but something a little bit more spiritual and like high vibration, and just doing these hip circles. So just sitting on the bed and the hip circles, and I'll kind of sing along to the song and just go one direction and then the other, and then little pelvis tilts. And that has been really nice for getting into my body before bed and waking up feeling refreshed. And this exercise reminded me of that. So thank you.
Yes, of course. Yeah, I think that's a beautiful tool for our listeners, especially anyone who experiences racing thoughts before bed, who has trouble winding down. It's really hard to go from staring at a screen or listening to a really upbeat, intense song or watching a TV show that's like a crime thriller, to then go right from that to bed. So having that little break in between, even just one song, 3 to 4 minutes, can make a huge difference. So thank you for that.
Yeah, yeah, and it's small and short, sweet and to the point, because I know it's so easy to get caught up in like this very big, elaborate wind down routine. Oh, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna journal, and then I'm gonna do that. And
Right.
there's a lot of things we're already doing to keep ourselves where we want to be, but just something small and easy and very relaxing. But yeah, so Victoria, what are we talking about today?
Okay, guys. So I was inspired by Amon's topic last week about niching. And I can be a notorious niche switcher. And you know what? I was thinking about it. I've actually only switched my niche 3 times. And that's not that crazy in the grand scheme of things. I had this story in my head of like, I've changed my niche 10 times in a year, and it was just not true. So
That's so funny.
I,
Your
I was
brain
like,
just
what am
playing
I
tricks
talking
on you.
about? I was like, wait a minute. No, that's not
Not
true.
reality at all.
Yes, also, leading into today's topic, being in our heads, convincing ourselves of things that are not true. But basically, and I have talked about this a little bit in other episodes, but emotional eating and just an overall disordered relationship with food has been a big theme in my life and something I have played with in terms of helping my coaching clients, helping friends and family, just spreading awareness around it. And I don't know how it hasn't been my niche yet because it's always been there. And I'm actually a wellness and nutrition coach. So it's tying in all these different things. And I am finally incorporating it into my niche, which is helping women going through rupture, different transition phases, and emotional eating can be a big part of that, dealing with stress, etc., going to food as comfort. It'll probably evolve into like just that being it, but I'm kind of like easing my way in, seeing how I feel about it instead of getting an idea in the middle of the night and just being like, I'm switching my niche. So today, I'm going to define what emotional eating, emotional overeating is, and go through the 5 signs of being an emotional eater so that you can ask yourself, as the listener, am I doing this? Am I doing this with food? Am I doing it with something else? And at the end, we're going to talk about how we can change that, how we can shift that, how we can heal this tendency, this addiction, because it can be an addiction, which might be strange for people to hear because food is something we need to survive, but that can make it all the more tricky.
I'm so
So,
curious. Like so many other women, I've had an interesting relationship with food. And, I think growing up or different phases in your life, you can be quick to put a label on it, whatever that label might be. But emotional eating is a little bit of a new one to me. So I'm very interested to hear what that actually entails and what it looks like. And yeah, so excited to learn more.
yes. Well, I'm going to start with the definition of what it is. So I'll be referencing my notes. See me looking over here? That's why. So, emotional eating is when food is used primarily to regulate emotions rather than satisfy physical hunger. It's often an unconscious attempt to soothe, numb, distract, reward, comfort, or create relief from emotional discomfort. And I wanted to add in there that because it says regulate emotions for the first part, and the second part is emotional discomfort, but it can really be for any heightened emotion, even a positive emotion, like even an overwhelm of happiness can create a binge or a need for food to calm yourself down. So basically, anything that provides pleasure, we can become addicted to, not
Hmm.
just alcohol, not just drugs. It can literally be anything that comforts us, gives us pleasure. And there's a lot of science behind that with the neurotransmitters that I'm not going to get into today, but maybe in another episode. But basically, whatever your quote unquote drug of choice is, so let's say with food, once you start using that to calm yourself, to regulate your emotions, it feels impossible to do it without that thing. It's like, I need this thing to regulate my emotions. And when you don't have it, there's this panic, this irritation, this anger that can come up. So if your ears are prickling, is that the right term? Burning, and you're like, this might be me.
Someone's talking about me.
Yes. But now that we've gone over the definition, Iman, what are your thoughts? Or is this what you thought the definition would be?
Mm. So that definition definitely brings up some images to mind and some maybe preconceived ideas I had about it. Definitely that food could be a tool for regulating. That's sort of what I thought it meant. And I've definitely seen that in myself. And I'm sure we all know the trope about, oh, it's my period. I need all the chocolate in the world, right? And that's a tool about regulating our systems. And so I guess the way you described it just goes a lot deeper than that. And I was surprised about the positive emotions as well, because I didn't expect it for that. I do see myself turning to sugar, or I lately have been trying to shift this, but I have noticed in the past using sugar as a regulator. But I'm realizing now that I also would go to ice cream to celebrate. And, that would probably trigger certain binges. So yeah, I was really surprised to hear that part of the definition.
Yeah, everything in moderation. So, disclaimer, I don't want anyone listening to this to be like, oh my God, if I want a sweet treat after dinner, it means I'm an emotional eater. No, not at all. And we're going to get into the difference between enjoying yourself, enjoying food, mindfully eating versus I am so anxious right now. I need this ice cream or this piece of chocolate to just like come into my body and calm down. Or you start eating the ice cream with the intention of, oh, yeah, I just had dinner as a sweet treat. And then before you know it, the entire cabinet and freezer has been raided. So there is a fine line, but we love food. Food is great. And food can be comforting, and that can be totally okay. It's a tool that, for whatever reason, our body, our subconscious, maybe from trauma or something along those lines, our mind has chosen food to protect us, to keep us safe, to regulate us. And so a lot of this is about having gratitude for the food, for being there when there wasn't another tool.
Right, like not using it as an escape and not taking it to extremes, which we've
Yes.
always seen when we take things to the extremes, then that's where it becomes problematic. But yeah, I think that's a very important distinction that you made. There's no problem with food, there's no problem with celebrating, with sweet treats, with indulging here and there, but recognizing when it can be something more.
Yep, exactly. Okay, so we're going to get into the 5 signs you might be an emotional eater now that we've defined it. Okay. Some of this is going to be a little bit repetitive from the definition, but we'll go into more detail. So, number 1, you eat to change how you feel, not because you're physically hungry. So, food becomes comfort, distraction, relief, reward, or escape during stress, sadness, anxiety, boredom. That's a big one, or loneliness. So it becomes a way to shift your mood. You're in a bad mood, something's bothering you. Instead of sitting with that emotion, allowing yourself to feel it, taking a deep breath, it's like, what around me can just kind of be the quick fix to get me out of this? And food is one of those things.
What about being tired
I
too?
was just going to say that. Yes.
Mm,
Yes, that's a great point. So, they were actually talking about this these two people on another podcast I can link below. They go into a lot of the science and the trauma and all that behind this behavior. But both the hosts have struggled with emotional eating and have quote unquote cured this. But they were both talking about how the primary time that they noticed they were emotional eating, overeating was when they were tired. And instead of just letting themselves rest, they were using the food to get more energy and to keep going.
This is, oh my gosh, it's hitting a little too close to home for me. I don't know, just recently, especially, and when we started this discussion, I would have probably not identified with emotional eating at all. But immediately right now, I'm just like, oh yeah, I have been recognizing that lately when I get tired, and I've been really focused and working really hard on these business things. When I get tired, instead of taking a break or taking a nap or going and closing my eyes, I go straight to the cabinet. I go to the cupboard and I just need something to boost me up, and then I'll eat and I'll just be on my phone and kind of zone out and keep eating. And then, yeah, one snack leads to another. And sometimes it gives me energy and it, I guess, does the trick that I want it to. But hmm, that's very interesting to hear.
Yeah, because we're not giving our body permission to rest. So our body's like, okay, I'm gonna like eat until I'm too tired to do anything. And then we're kind of just zoned out in a little bit of a food coma. And then we have to rest or we have to take a break. So it's like the body wants to rest, and the subconscious is like, okay, you're not letting me rest. So this is what we're gonna do to make sure
Mm,
we rest.
yeah,
So the body has a need and we're not meeting it. So then we fall into these old tactics of getting what we need that may not be the healthiest thing. So that's why we're rewiring
100%.
the subconscious of like, nope, I'm actually going to go make the decision, rest, whatever it is. I do the same thing and I've been doing 10 to 12-minute naps, power naps, and it is like a game changer. And if
Wow.
after the power nap I'm still hungry or I need some caffeine or whatever, then I'm like, okay, if I'm still
Then it's
hungry, then
okay.
I'll eat. But I've already met that need. So I'm usually either not hungry or I can have a date or something and continue on with whatever I'm doing.
I'm going to try your power nap tomorrow. Literally 10, 12 minute. That sounds great. I'm going to try it. I'm going to let you know how it goes.
Yes. And it's like you go into this state of resting. You may not fully be in REM, but you get a little boost for sure. Or that's what I've found at least. Okay. So moving on to number two. Your cravings feel urgent and specific. So instead of I'm hungry, it feels more like I need chocolate. I need chips. I need takeout. I need something comforting. How I feel it in my body is it's like a child about to have a tantrum. It's that
Mm.
energy of I need this right now or I am not okay. Because there's usually something stressful happening. I have this very specific memory. This is probably like 4 or 5 years ago. I had just gone to Easter with my boyfriend at the time's family, and like nothing bad had happened. It was just a lot of new people, a lot of stimuli. And I remember just getting in the car and being like, I need the chocolate bunny, and just like pulling it out of the bag and just eating it. Like I just needed the chocolate bunny.
Oh,
And my boyfriend at the time was like, what the fuck? But it was just this thing of like, I don't have anything else to cope with this, and I just need this chocolate bunny.
if you like imagined yourself in that situation now, being overstimulated and coming out of a really triggering event, what would you do instead of grabbing the chocolate bunny?
Yeah. I would very simply just hear the thought coming up, feel the urge, and probably just sit with myself in the car with my hand over my chest and just talk to myself. Just be like, it's okay. I understand. And just breathe.
Mhm.
Just breathe. I think we can overcomplicate things, or I know that I have in the past. And it's this part of you that is wanting to be seen and wanting to feel safe.
Yeah, and that physical touch,
Hmm.
that's a really good one. Like giving yourself a hug, kind of.
Yeah, and if I'm with someone, I would just kind of tell them what's going on. Like, wow, that was a lot. And just kind of talk about it, give it a name, give it space instead of going into, "Oh my God, what is wrong with me? Why do I feel this way?" Instead of beating myself up like, "Yeah, that was a lot of new people. We can debrief now and just kind of
Mhm.
sit with all of that." So, that's what works for me. And if the feeling kind of lingers and persists, than when you are in a private space or you feel comfortable doing like 10 to 15 minutes of breath work, doing a little meditation, going for a walk,
Mm.
doing a physical activity. The breath work and all that, it helps so much. And it's helped me so much to even allow myself to pause. But we are breaking a habit and there is going to be discomfort. There is going to be a little bit or a lot of that inner child wanting to have a tantrum. And I haven't found a magic solution for that. I found ways to lessen the blow and ease what's going on, but it's part of breaking a habit and forming new habits. There's going to be some discomfort.
It can be so hard to catch yourself in the moment, like when you're feeling that desire for the chocolate bunny to stop and do the thing that you know will comfort you in a different way can be so challenging.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So that is such a big part of this is having compassion for yourself because your most likely inner child has used this as a tactic for you to feel safe. And thank God. I know for me, it got me out of a lot of stressful, scary situations, just going to food and being like, okay, I'm safe, I'm comfortable. So having gratitude for that and compassion for yourself is a big part.
That's a very beautiful way to put it.
Okay, let's go on to three. So number three, you keep eating even after you're full. The goal is not nourishment, it's emotional soothing, numbing, grounding, or temporary relief. So it's kind of expanding on what we were just talking about, where hunger is not a part of this equation. It could start as like actually being hungry. I found this with myself in the past. Yes, I'm hungry. It's lunchtime. I'm eating. Either it's I'm eating so fast that my body doesn't have time to catch up with my fullness cues, or I don't want to get back to what I was working on before, and eating feels a lot better. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep eating.
Know that one.
Yeah, or it's like I just enjoy the feeling of eating. And so I'm just going to keep going. This feels good. This feels good. This feels comforting. And you just go past that point. I've seen and experienced a lot with people who have any type of disordered eating, whether it's emotional eating or the other end of the spectrum, not eating, more on the anorexic side, there is a big disconnection with hunger cues,
Mm.
whether it's just ignoring it or not even feeling it. And that is highlights this overall disconnection with the body and really being in the mind.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth, 100%. What came up for me wasn't so much like continuing eating, but when you talked about using it to ground yourself and to find some comfort, I recall being in the thick of things with my abusive relationship and just being so stressed out and tired all the time and just like on the edge and exhausted and dysregulated all the time. And I would be driving around town running errands, and every time I left the house, remember, he had a lot of control and controlled the money, even though I was the one making the money. He was in control of it. And so I would have a little bit of money to go buy groceries, the money that I earned. But, anyways, would have that to go run some errands and do things around town. And every time I left the house, I had to like secretly buy myself candy or donuts or whatever it was. But every time I left the house, anytime I was driving places, even getting gas, I would stop and buy something very unhealthy, very chocolatey, very sugary, very carby, and I just needed it to comfort myself and to be grounded. And now, almost a year out of that relationship, I'm not doing that anymore. I'll buy a treat now and then because I want it. It's a hot day, I want some ice cream, or, yes, sometimes I still get tired and I'm like, oh, I need the sweet. I'm doing a little bit better at catching that and I'll go for fruit instead or something. But I'm not every time I leave the house, every time I'm running an errand, every time I'm at the store, grabbing a piece of cake or I mean, it was getting bad. I was getting like 3 pieces of cake because it started to be uncontrollable. I couldn't satisfy myself with just one little piece of chocolate. It had to be three different candy bars because why make the decision? And this is my one chance, and I need something to make me feel better. So I definitely remember using food that way to handle the stress and the dysfunction that was happening in my relationship and in my life.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, the thing that stands out for me, it's the scarcity and the urgency of
Yeah.
I need this right now. I don't know when I'm going to get it again. I don't want to be judged, or I don't know if in your case you would have been reprimanded.
Oh, he caught me one time and it was not good. Yeah. I don't even remember how, but I was like going to the post office and then I ended up stopping at the gas station and I bought candy and then somehow he found out and he was so pissed and it ended up being this huge, huge thing. But yeah, yeah, so there's a lot of shame around it too.
Shame is a big piece of this. And it's definitely exacerbated by stressful situations and by feeling like you can't just relax and like eat what you want to eat when you want to eat it. That thought
Mm,
alone can sometimes be enough. Like, okay, I'm hungry. I'm going to stop and get something to eat. And okay, I do want a candy bar. I'm going to let myself have it. And then 9 times out of 10, when I do that, I get in the gas station. I'm like, I'm going to get a power bar because it's like the shame is not there anymore. This shame and this need for that sugar to like be the one thing that's keeping me going that day just isn't there anymore. So it's like, okay, I can make the healthy choice. But I totally relate to that when you're driving around. I can remember leaving this play rehearsal and it was late at night. I had already had dinner. It was, close to my bedtime, which I don't like to eat right before bedtime. I think it affects most people's sleep. But I would be in the car and it was probably like a 20 to 30-minute drive. And every single time I passed a fast food place, I was like, I should just stop and get something. I should just stop and it was this constant just,
hmm
"Oh my god, I need to."
Mental battle.
Yes. Yes, and I'm not even hungry, but it's like I just had this rehearsal. I was probably overstimulated and maybe did something embarrassing. A bunch of I don't know, just processing everything, and it was like needing food, and it's just crazy to look back and be like, "I don't do that anymore. I just don't do that anymore."
Yeah. But that's hopeful too. If someone's dealing with this right now and is feeling stressed out by it, you can move through it.
1000%.
There's hope on the other
1000%.
side.
Yes, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, which I'm not gonna lie, I went through a very long period of thinking this would never not be my life.
Hmm.
Most of my life, I felt like this is just something I'm gonna deal with. And yeah, if you feel that way, I am sending you so much love and there is hope, I promise. Okay, so keep eating after full. We did that one. All right, number 4. This is kind of like a rewrite of the of another one of the signs, but we'll go into it again.
Iterations,
Right, right. We're
gotta say
just
the same thing a
yeah.
million different times. That's the only way that we get it through our heads.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Simple psychology.
Yes, exactly. You turn to food most during emotional stress or overwhelm. Okay, I do have something interesting to say about this. Difficult conversations, heartbreak, burnout, anxiety, rejection, or exhaustion often trigger overeating episodes. Oh, okay. Two things to say on this. Like I was saying earlier, I have had this emotional eating disorder relationship with food probably since I started eating solid foods as a child. It's been my whole life. There's like stories of me in my diaper sitting in front of the refrigerator just eating a package of salami. Like just like binge eating salami as a baby.
Pictures of that.
I know. I'm like, where are the pictures? And my grandpa was like, Anita, your daughter's
Where are
down
your
here.
parents?
Exactly. My grandpa was supposed to be watching me. I think my parents were
Okay.
upstairs and he just like turned the corner and there I was. But there's a few stories like that. So this might not be the case for everyone, but was obviously a very ingrained thing for me. And I would find that I would be in a relationship and it would go south, or there would be some situation where the emotional eating was extra triggered, and then I'd get out of it and be like, oh, I'm cured now, everything's fine. Or like once I'm with the right person, this won't happen, or once I'm making this amount of money, I won't be as stressed, etc. And then I got out of my last relationship. I'm living with my parents. I'm feeling very safe, and it still was happening. In my current relationship, still was happening. And so I was like, okay, this is like a me thing. This is definitely a me thing.
Mm,
I can't blame this on anyone.
mm.
This is something that's just going to keep showing up that I need to deal with. And things really started to shift when I was like, okay, this is obviously a childhood thing. This is a me thing. When I really felt the shift of processing it, I was actually in this healing session about something totally different, but it's all connected. So something that I had
Yeah.
shifted during that session, I don't want to say cured because there's been so much leading up to this. It's not like one session cured me, but there was something that clicked in that session where on a deep subconscious level, it's like, I just can't do this anymore. It just doesn't appeal to me anymore. It's not meeting a need anymore. Okay, so the turning to food during emotional stress or overwhelm. Another part of this is eating to make other people happy.
Wow.
And this might sound weird, but if you have a parent or had a parent caretaker who made you finish your plate, who put a
Oh.
lot of their love into food, like, did you like that? Why aren't you eating it? And even if you're full, even if maybe you don't like it, even if you're just not hungry, you eat it anyway to like make the other person happy.
Mm,
Then even when you're not around the person, it becomes this subconscious thing of like, I have to finish this. I have to eat all the food. I have to show my appreciation, my gratitude. I have to show that I like this. And last night, Lou and I got Mexican food. And halfway through it, I was like, I'm full. I'm done. But we had gotten in like a little tiff earlier. And then he was like, "Oh, do you want me to make you one of my tacos?" And I was like, "Mm-hmm." Even though I was so full,
oh.
and I still ate it because there was this thing in my mind of like, it will make him happy if I eat this because he's making it for me. And in the past, I would have done that without even a second thought and
Hmm.
like just eaten all the Mexican food and just been fine because I was like, okay, I'm full, I'm in a food coma, which we'll get into the guilt and stuff in the next step.
Mm.
There would have been some guilt, but I would have just been like, whatever, another Thursday night for me. But I felt so sick, like physically ill. Like, why did
Yeah.
I? And it had like three tacos and there was like rice and there was a lot of food, but it wasn't like this full on binge. It was probably what like a grown man would eat at a Mexican restaurant. And I was like physically ill. There was no pleasure. There was nothing. I just was like, why did I do that? I feel gross. And not even the shame of beating myself up. It was more so just physically like, oh God, why did I do that? It's
Because
too much food.
like energetically you've moved past where you were with it, and
Yep.
so now sacrificing your boundaries like that really truly is self-abandonment.
Yep.
It's like once you open your eyes you can't close them again, right? Okay, that was a bad metaphor, but you you can't
I love it.
you can't open and close your eyes once you remove the scales from your eyes. Right, once you see the light you can't go back.
Once you know it, you can't unknow it.
Yes, once you know it, thank you, that's much better. Once you know it, you can't unknow it.
Yep.
And I heard a lot in your story from childhood and what it took for you to get to the place where it did click in that session and you found some deeper healing and understanding around it. I heard a lot about autonomy and responsibility, which we kind of hit on a little bit, but we didn't get too deep into that. You took ownership. You really took ownership over the not problem, but over the situation. And you took responsibility for it. Whereas maybe before you had been outsourcing it to other people and situations, I heard you take ownership and responsibility. And then that's what opened up the door for those things to click into place. And then similarly, we talked about autonomy of having the choice to, oh yeah, well, I can eat what I want when I want, and that being something that helps manage these feelings. And that brought to mind, like, yeah, when I got out of that abusive relationship, I can now have lots of treats in the house and I don't feel like I need to eat it all at once. Before it was like, as soon as there's something in the house, I'm going to eat all of it. But now it's like, oh yeah, I have ice cream in the freezer, I have chocolate in the fridge, I have cookies in the cabinet. There are all of these things there, but I'll have like one a day. I'm like, okay, here's my little sweet treat. And it's not this, yeah, scarcity. It's the autonomy, it's the choice, the freedom that comes from being able to make that choice and take ownership over your own actions that seems to have a big part in all of this.
Yeah. 1000%. I'm so glad you brought that up about having the treats in the house. That has been a huge theme in my life of like getting in fights with my partner, or not even fights, but just like, oh, why did you have to buy that? You know, I can't have that in the house. It has happened a little bit in this relationship, but definitely in my last relationship, there could be no snacks in the house. There could be no chips. I would just fixate on it. Okay, I know he left some of his M&Ms in the freezer from when we went to the movies. When is he going to eat them? Why isn't he eating them?
Yeah,
Like taking over my
yeah,
mind. And I've been noticing this for probably a year or more now, where it's like I'll forget that there's something in the cupboard, like cinnamon buns, or
right.
Lou has like the
Oh,
fastest
don't forget the
metabolism.
cinnamon buns.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, I know. I'm like, can you eat those? They're gonna go bad. I'm gonna throw them away. Um, but Lou will go and get these half off pastries at the fucking grocery
Oh my
store.
God.
And in the past, I used to be like, why are you getting this? Why is this in the house? This is like gross. But secret in my mind, like, I'm gonna eat that
Yeah.
as soon as
Don't tempt me.
And now I'm just like, whatever. I forget it's there. I open the pantry. I'm like, oh, these are in there. And he was like raving about this cookie that he bought. And so yesterday I was like, all right, I'm gonna eat the cookie. And instead of just taking it and eating it really quick, I was like, I'm gonna heat it up. I'm gonna enjoy it. I'm gonna have a little moment with my cookie. And it was bad. I mean, it was fine, but I was expecting this like
Yeah.
amazing cookie after the way he was talking
Euphoric,
about it.
like,
Yeah, and I was like,
ex-
this is like stale. Like, so, it was just so funny. It was good. I mean, it was a good moment of just like,
yeah.
okay, I don't need this, period.
Mhm.
Like, I don't need this. And another thing you brought up, oh, the responsibility thing. Okay. Yes. So it's all connected because it's this general idea of like everything we need is inside of us. So anytime we're blaming external factors, we're needing this external thing to make us whole. It's just not true. It's just not true.
Yeah.
And the more we can look within, look in the mirror, find whatever we're looking for inside of us. And it's not to say I am a lone wolf and I don't need, because like we do need other people, of course. We need to connect with other humans and experience love and all those different things. But whatever we are experiencing with another person is a reflection of what's inside of us. The love we feel for ourselves is what gives us the capacity to love another person. And the
Yeah.
connection we feel with ourselves gives us the
Mhm.
capacity to connect with another person. So it's just coming back to that with whatever your addiction or your tendency is, coming back to like, I have everything I need. It's really revolutionary in all of this.
And that is such a spiritual concept because essentially what you're doing, if you want to look at it from another perspective, is when you obsess over food like that, or you need food, and with anything, right? This could be any addiction or even love or relationships, but you're making it your God. You're making it your source. When something is a need like that and it's so compelling, you're no longer looking within, connecting to source, connecting to your highest self, to God, to whatever you want to call it. You're instead outsourcing. You're looking outside of yourself. And, every religious teaching has tried to warn against that. And yeah, don't make the golden calf, right? Don't make these material things your God
Yeah.
because they're not. Everything is inside of you,
Yep. Including God. God is
including
within
God.
us.
That's
Yeah, it's a very good point. And I will say there's some interesting things with religion with that, because I think in some religions there is still this externalizing of God and worship.
yes. Yeah.
But at least what I know we believe, and a lot of spiritual people believe, is God is a part of us. God is within
Yeah.
us. Our God voice is our intuition. It's all the same thing. Um, okay, so we're on to the last one. I was hinting at this a little bit earlier, but you feel guilt, shame, or loss of control after the emotional eating, after the binge eating, after the overeating, whatever you want to call it. Emotional eating is often followed by self criticism, regret, or confusion about why you ate so much. So, yes, I've definitely felt this before. And this is, of course, very tied into societal norms that have changed and morphed here and there over the years. But growing up in the 90s and the 2000s, it was very much skinny supermodels, low fat this, low fat that. And it's funny because I feel like that's when obesity started to spike. So it's interesting. There's always been, I mean, movie stars have always been beautiful and thin. It's not like this is a new concept, but I feel like the pressure of it and the pressure of more media talking about it and it being more of a thing. I guess social media was not in the 90s, but early 2000s, social media was kind of starting to be more of a thing. I think I had Facebook in like 2006. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, so it's just started to become more of this message of you need to be thin, you need to do this. And it's funny that that was the same time there was all these processed foods coming out and like obesity levels spiking.
Hmm.
So it's just interesting how putting pressure on ourselves and comparing ourselves to other people and externalizing our value has the opposite effect because I mean, stress makes you gain more weight. Maybe not gain weight, stress alone, but it makes your body hold on to weight because you're in
Hmm.
this
Yeah.
freeze response of sorts. So yeah, it can almost be a blacking out experience when you're overeating because you're literally burying what you don't want to feel with food. So the hunger
Hmm.
cues, they're out the window. You're just like, I don't want to feel this thing anymore. I'm going to do whatever it takes. And then, of course, once that high passes, because there is this euphoric high, or at least for me, I've experienced it. I'm like having a milkshake, just
Hmm.
like, oh, and
Like dopamine.
yes. And then once that passes, it's like, oh
Mm.
my God.
The crash.
Yeah, the crash, especially if you had a lot of sugar, but it can be with anything. And that's another thing with emotional eating. It can literally be broccoli. Like it can literally be anything. It's anything to just push it down, like a can of beans.
Surprising.
Yeah, it's just like I am gonna eat whatever's in my house. But yeah, obviously it's much more fun to eat cookies and chips than a can of beans, but you're doing whatever you can do. So it's followed by all of this, especially if you're on, we didn't even get into this yet, but especially if you're doing all these different diets and you're on this really intense exercise regimen, and then you have a binge, it's like, oh my God, I'm such a failure. All of these thoughts coming in. And this is essentially why I have found, after someone who's done every diet, every fast, every cleanse, every exercise thing. One time I didn't eat for 10 days. That's a whole other story. Yeah. I mean, I had like this little drink.
Gosh.
Yeah, this little drink I
Right.
had. But
Like the cayenne and
yep,
lemon.
the
Oh
master
no.
cleanse. Yeah, I did it. I did it.
Oh, right. The master cleanse.
24.
Yeah.
Like, why
Oh
was
my
I doing that?
gosh.
And something that I have found, a lot of other people have found, is that diets do not work. If you are an emotional eater, diets are not going to work because you're not addressing what is actually going on and you are taking away your poor body's only tool that it has to keep you safe, to keep you regulated. You're taking it away. And so,
So
of course,
sad.
it is so sad. I've like cried so much about this, what I've put my body through, and just like, oh
Mm.
my God. It's sad. And in the moment, I didn't know anything else, but still
Yeah.
looking back, I'm like, oh my
We
God.
don't know what we don't know.
Yeah, poor Victoria. Poor little Victoria in her 20s. So your body is needing this thing that you're taking away. And so as soon as the diet ends, that's why people are having this yo-yo weight experience because they're like, oh my
Mhm.
God, I can finally have this thing again. And you're not maintaining the weight loss that you just had. And then it's like, oh, maybe this diet will work. No, you're doing the same thing over and over. It's
Yeah.
not going to work until you address. And at the end of the day, it's fine to have goals. Like, I want to lose 10 pounds. I want whatever your thing is. But if you really sat with that If you lost 10 to 20 pounds, but you still were suffering when you were at a party and there was a table of desserts and your brain is like, I just really want to go eat all those brownies. And like, you can't even focus on the conversation you're having with someone at a party because your brain, like, is that really what you want? Or would you rather resolve what is going on? And then the byproduct be, of course, you're going to lose weight because you're not eating as much. If you're not emotionally eating and you're listening to your hunger cues, of course, you're going to lose weight.
Yeah, is that part of it? Like, if somebody addresses this emotional eating, they can still hit their weight goals if they have, something they're trying to get down to, or a fitness level that they want to achieve. Does fixing this sort of internal mental game with food help get them there, or does it make them lose all their ambition for their weight goals?
Mm. I think it absolutely can. I think it can help you reach your goals because you're taking in less calories because you're not emotionally eating. You're stopping when you're full and you're going to eat less, you're going to eat slower, you're going to go to something else besides food, which we'll get into next when you are feeling stressed because it just won't do it for you anymore. You might have that habit, that reaction of going to the cupboard. At least this has been my experience. But then I look and I'm like, I don't really want that. I know that's not going to help me.
Yeah, so making this mental shift actually helps them achieve those goals in a much easier, more relaxed way.
Yes. And when you are taking this approach where I'm going to focus on what's going on under the surface, your goals will naturally change because you start to see what you're really wanting. It's like, yes, you want to lose weight, you want to be a size 4, whatever it is. But underneath that, what you're really wanting is to just feel calm around food and to not have that addiction and to just live your life and enjoy your life. And I think that there is a natural weight and body composition that our bodies want to be. And I think sometimes we will be at war with that and wanting to be thinner than what that actually is. And so people may go into it thinking they want to be this unrealistic size for their body type. And that can be very hard to accept and reckon with, that there's this equilibrium that their body's wanting to reach. And if they're going to keep trying to go below that, that's another thing that came up in my research is sometimes we're binging because we're just not eating enough. We're not getting enough calories. It's not so much the emotional thing. It's more of like your body is actually, and this would be more for people, I guess, on the anorexic side or like in that binge restriction cycle, or even people that are on a diet and they're tracking their calories and they have this very unrealistic calorie goal, or they're not slowly lowering their calories over time. They went from having 3,000 a day to like 1,400. So, of course, you're going to be binging. Like, you're going to come to a point where you're just going to say, fuck it, and eat a jar of peanut butter because your body is malnourished. So, that's another part of it. And I went through that. I lost like 20 pounds from where I am now in 2021, and I looked great. I looked amazing, but I was working out 2 to 3 times a day.
Oh,
I
wow.
was eating, probably 1,400 calories, which now I don't track my calories as a whole other thing. I don't agree with that, but to each
Yeah.
their own. I find it very triggering if you are an emotional eater to track. What was I talking about? I just totally forgot.
We're talking about weight goals.
Yeah. So I was exercising a bunch, not eating enough. And so I would have these binges. And once I kind of got over that and realized this is not good, I'd rather just be 10 pounds heavier than dealing with all of this. The binging stopped. This emotional eating was still happening, but it was significantly reduced because I was not restricting myself. My body was not freaking the fuck out and feeling unsafe and like
Yeah.
desperate for food. But there still was more layers to the emotional eating that I had to face and move through when I was in a more stable and safe environment, which was getting out of my last relationship, moving in with my parents, getting out of that situation, being in my current relationship, and just finally being like, okay, for the first time, feel like I can actually work through this.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of factors at play, but
Yeah, you have to peel back a lot of layers and then get to a general sense of safety before even tackling this much deeper situation on an actual sustainable level.
yeah, for sure. And in terms of my clients and who I work with, I would be helping my clients heal the emotional eating portion. So if they had a specific weight and goal with their bodies, their body composition, then that would definitely be more of work with a personal trainer, work with a nutritionist.
But that in conjunction,
Yeah.
because if they're just doing that and they're not addressing the emotional eating, it's going to keep biting them in the behind
Right.
and sabotaging all of the other work they're putting in.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I definitely recommend working in conjunction with a coach who specializes in the emotional eating aspect, as well as a personal trainer, a nutritionist, so that you can meet all of those needs because they kind of all go together. I'm not going to promise you that you're going to lose 20 pounds if you work with me or anything like that, but
You will address the emotional
yes, the
eating.
root issue that will allow you to have sustainable, long-term, lifelong results. So, is a very important part of the process. Um,
Mhm.
okay, so those are the five plus
Yeah,
signs. Definitely comment below if you feel like you resonate with that, especially if you're just realizing like, wow, I'm an emotional eater.
which ones do you have experience with?
Mhm.
And share a story. We shared
Yeah.
plenty of stories of our emotional eating. So, break through that shame barrier. There's no shame, there's no judgment here. So, feel
Yes.
free to reach out and share your story about emotional eating and see how you can take some steps to change that and have a more balanced and stable relationship with food and
Yes.
everything else.
Exactly. And I did want to quickly share some next steps before we go. If you have realized that you are an emotional eater, or maybe you knew it already and you're like, okay, what do I do now? Number one, we talked about this a little bit. Stop shaming yourself.
Hmm.
Emotional eating is usually a coping mechanism, not proof that you're weak or broken. Shame tends to fuel the cycle, not heal it. So, coming from that place of love, compassion, gratitude for the food that
Yeah.
has helped you move through difficult situations, and knowing that you do not need it going forward. Thank you for helping me. I don't need you going forward. I have everything I need inside of me. So, number two, start noticing your triggers. So, we shared some of our stories, things that triggered us, feeling tired, being around people that suck.
It's a big one.
Uh, yeah, childhood traumas resurfacing. So when the urge happens, when you start to go for the pantry, even though your stomach's not grumbling, you know that you just ate a significant meal an hour or two ago. So you know you're not actually hungry. So asking yourself, what am I feeling right now? What happened today? What am I needing right now? What are you actually needing? Because it's not food. It's not
Mhm.
a donut. It's love. It's connection. No one actually needs a donut.
Sleep.
Sleep. Donuts are fun as a treat, but like they have zero nutritional value. So you don't actually need this donut for like your lungs to repair or whatever.
What if they're stuffed with custard? Does that count as like eggs and dairy?
Yes, if
Nutritionally
it's stuffed with
beneficial.
custard, then you can just bypass everything I'm saying.
Because that's my breakfast sometimes.
No, I mean everything in moderation.
Yeah.
Enjoy that donut. But when it comes to an actual emotional need, the donut or the broccoli is not going to make you not lonely.
When the voice in your head is, I need the chocolate bunny or the
Right.
donut, then it's time to
Exactly.
take a second.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Leave the bunny alone. You can have it when you are feeling more calm.
I heard somebody else talking about when they felt that desire to, and if you're listening and any of this is resonating with you, hit the subscribe button because I'm sure Victoria will be talking about more tips and maybe things to do to get yourself out of this in the future. But one thing I was hearing somebody mention was when they felt that urge, maybe make the food or maybe before they made the food, they would take a moment to literally do some somatic nervous system regulation work.
Yep.
They would do the hip circles, they would do the humming, they would do the bilateral butterfly pat, something. 1 to 3 minutes breath work, something somatic, getting them in their body, just moving their nervous system from being dysregulated to regulated. And once they got to that place, if they still felt like they wanted the food, no problem. They would eat the food. Or maybe they wanted something different at that point, or maybe they just wanted less, a smaller portion, and they would eat it more slowly and enjoy it more. Then it was okay. But they just wanted to move their system from the place of, I need this and I'm so stressed, to, oh, okay, I already handled the emotion. Now let me enjoy the food.
Yes, absolutely. And not to mention, your body digests food so much better when you are not stressed. When you are stressed, your digestion shuts down because your digestion is the most energy sucking system that you have. So if you are stressed or there's like anything else going on that is dysregulating you, it's impacting your digestion. So it is very important for so many reasons to be as calm as possible when you eat. I know it's not always possible. Sometimes we're eating on the run. The kids are screaming, like we're at where there's a lot going on. But if you can do that at least half the time, I feel like your body is gonna thank you. So I have IBS, which everyone has, and I have noticed improvements with that from eating more
Mm.
mindfully and eating less,
Wow.
eating in a less stressed out state, giving my body hours between meals to digest,
Mm.
3 to 4 hours. So there's benefits all around, guys. Okay, this is number three. Learn the difference between emotional hunger and physical hunger. Physical hunger builds gradually. Emotional hunger feels urgent, emotional, and often crave specific comfort foods. So, something I will say about physical hunger, something that can help with a lot of this, is not letting it go on for too long. If you're physically hungry, eat. Don't push it, because the more you push it and the more the hunger builds, the more likely you are to binge, like I was saying earlier. You're eating too fast. It's more of this like heightened emotional experience because you're like, oh my God, I'm finally eating, versus, okay, I'm feeling hungry. Maybe my stomach's rumbling a little bit. There's like this feeling I get right here when I know I'm like actually hungry, and it's like eating in that moment.
The base of your neck and your collarbone.
It's like a
Mm.
hollow feeling. It's hard to explain, but I'm
Your
like,
throat.
okay, I'm hungry. And the 3 to 4 hour between meals, I've found that to be a very helpful mark. Like you're eating at 8 a.m. and then you're eating at 12, 12:30, 1 around there, and a snack in between if you want. Yeah, like I was saying, emotional hunger feels urgent, emotional, often craving a specific food. If you're like, I could eat a whole jar of peanut butter, but there's an apple there, and you're like, I don't really want that, that's a sign that you're probably not actually hungry. If you're actually hungry, you're going to eat what is there. If you're emotionally hungry, it's like, I need the salt, the sugar, or if you're just tired,
Yeah.
that's a big one. It's a huge thing we bypass. Instead of resting, we bypass fatigue with food. Okay, so pause before reacting to a craving. So we already covered regulating yourself when you start to feel that urgency with eating. Something else. So when you're in the middle of eating and you have that, and this is much easier to notice when you're eating slowly, but you have that moment of like, I'm starting to get full. And then something is kind of like, but I need to finish my food. Or like there's some voice or some sensation of like, but I need to keep eating. I need to eat more. That is a really important time to just, you're done.
Mm.
Either just pause. You don't have to be done, but listen to that. Get in the habit of
Pay
listening to
attention.
that. Yes. Listening to that.
Voice of urgency.
Yep. Make note of that voice of urgency. Listen to the sensation of, I'm getting full. Take a pause, drink some water. If you're with someone, talk to them, go up and get more water. Do something where you're physically stopping yourself from the eating process. And then if you come back and you're still hungry, have a little bit more. But 9 times out of 10, it's like, "Oh, I'm actually full. I'm so glad I didn't keep eating. I'm done." And I would have just plowed right through that. So pause. I mean, pausing in any type of heightened emotion in any situation is
Good strategy.
yes, whether it's an argument or eating or just before you say something you regret, before you do something you regret, take a breath.
Absolutely.
Like I was saying earlier, placing a hand on your body. What do I actually need right now? What I should have done in the Easter Bunny situation and what I have done many times since. Okay, number 5, build other ways to regulate your emotions. So we did talk about this earlier. Food may currently be your fastest comfort tool. Start adding new ones to your toolbox. Breath work,
Yeah.
movement, journaling, crying, releasing the emotion. When that little girl, little boy comes up having the tantrum, they probably want to cry.
Yeah.
They want to cry.
Give your inner child what they need, and it might not be food.
Right. Yes, exactly. Exactly. The adult you is like, we're gonna push this down, but the little you is like, I actually just want you to notice me and love me. Talking to someone safe, rest. I think that's number one.
Sometimes you just need a nap.
You sometimes just need a fucking nap, guys. Yeah, let's not overcomplicate this. Sometimes we just need to go to sleep. Um, that's another thing. A lot of people talk about night eating, and I'm like, maybe you just should go to bed. Like maybe you're just tired. Go to bed. Um, sensory grounding. Oh, this is a good one. So, sensory grounding, you're just using your senses to ground. So, you're noticing, okay, that's a really pretty tree right there.
Oh, yeah.
Looking around, noticing 3 things around you. Oh, I didn't notice that door was red. Noticing your feet on the ground. What does that feel like? What does your sleeve feel like on your shoulder?
I think this was like the first tool that my first ever therapist taught me in college or university. And he just included counting. So just count things around the room. So, like, oh, 1, red tea kettle, 2, purple towel, 3, sleeping cat. And that was grounding yourself into your surroundings. And it
Yep.
was very helpful.
Yep. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, getting out of you need to eat this right now and into okay, I am present. What is actually happening? What is real? What is grounding me right now? And then I'm just going to summarize these last few because we've covered this, but make sure you're actually nourishing yourself enough. So the restrictions, skipping meals, overworking, or emotionally depriving yourself can intensify overeating urges. To summarize this whole episode, just listen to your body.
Listen to your body.
Yeah.
And give yourself the space so that you can listen to your body and so
Exactly.
that you can hear what it's trying to tell you.
Yeah, because a lot of people, they're like, what do you mean hunger cues? What do you mean listen to my body? So if you're that person, I get it. I'm sending you so much love.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with you. We live in a society that prioritizes our brain and what
Brains,
other people are
head.
telling us over our bodies. So there's nothing wrong with you. You're just growing up in this world, and that's why Iman and I do what we do. Okay, so get curious instead of controlling. Instead of, how do I stop eating? Ask, what emotion am I trying to avoid? What feels empty, overwhelming, or unsupported in my life? Where do I need more comfort, safety, pleasure, or connection?
Mm.
Okay. And last one, it's my favorite one. Consider support if the cycle feels intense. Therapy, coaching, somatic work, breath work, or other support groups can help uncover the emotional and nervous system patterns underneath the behavior.
Yeah. I think this is a journey for a lot of people right now, but definitely part of my journey is that community and support aspect of healing and having mentors, having examples of people who have been through it, who have learned things about how to handle these same situations that you're dealing with. So finding someone like you who deeply understands what it's like to emotionally eat on many different levels and who has discovered her own responsibility and choices to unlock so much healing from it. I think that's so important.
Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Let us know which part hit home the most in the comments. If you've ever had a troublesome relationship with food or your weight, keep an eye out for these 5 signs that you may be an emotional eater. You eat to change how you feel, not because you're physically hungry. Your cravings feel urgent and specific. You keep eating even after you're full. You turn to food most during emotional stress or overwhelm. You feel guilt, shame, or loss of control afterward. If you resonate with 2 or more of those, here are some next steps you can take to begin to heal your relationship with food and your body. Stop shaming yourself. Start noticing your triggers. Learn the difference between emotional hunger and physical hunger. Pause before reacting to the craving. Build other ways to regulate your emotions. Make sure you're actually nourishing yourself enough. Get curious instead of controlling. And last but not least, consider support if the cycle feels intense. If you're thinking, I don't know where to begin, or I can't do this on my own, I would love to support you. Visit the show notes to schedule a free Food Freedom Clarity call. Looking forward to connecting. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode.